It's just the way we're wired. No. The Backrooms. This movie was so good. In the first hour and a half.
What?
It lost me, guys. I've heard this sentiment of, like, both sides. It was like, oh, this movie's trash. It's a terrible movie. It was so confusing. I didn't understand what the heck was going on.
The new Backrooms movie was nothing but complete and utter shit.
And the other one was like, if you don't like this movie, then you're just an idiot who didn't pay attention.
Yeah, so the Backrooms movie was a pretty solid idiot test. I'm sorry to say, but you're kind of a dumbass.
The first half, like I said, is really good. It gets a little bit slow in the beginning. I think it's important. It's good character building and it good kind of establishes Clark, the main character.
I am a fucking architect!
Clark as a character is so good. I just think they just kind of ruined him in the last half. Aww. And once they're actually in the Backrooms, I think that part of the film is the best it gets. It is so good. It is so engaging. It's all in this first camera POV shot. And then Clark starts running around and there's this one scene. It's like an empty room with a Christmas tree in the middle and some Christmas music playing, and then there's some creepy entities. I think one of them's, I don't know if one of them is supposed to be his ex-wife. I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm sorry to say, but you're kind of a dumbass. Like,
if the whole movie was like that 10-minute sequence, don't mind, it's my dog, it would have been a 10 out of 10 for me. I feel like when he got to that point, it was just such a good movie. And then right after that sequence, it completely flips. And Clark is a completely different character.
You can eat them.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Yes, I know that the whole point of him being in the Backrooms is he slowly changes the longer he's in there. The problem with me is like, yes, I get they give an explanation, but I would have preferred if we spent more time with Clark in the Backrooms, slowly changing over time as the movie goes on. Like, we see him start to kind of feel more comfortable in the Backrooms and stuff like that, rather than just being a jump time skip and he's suddenly eating people. And then we start like following the therapist lady. Hey, this is me editing this video. I do know her name is Mary. I don't know why I didn't say her name. Just therapist lady was the first thing. It's been I saw it when it first came out and I must have just forgotten it, and I know her name's Mary. I don't know why. As soon as I finished recording, I'm like, what? Her name's Mary. I know that. I watched the movie, I promise. I just don't like when they switch, like, main characters. And now Clark, who has been the main character for the first hour of this movie, is now the antagonist side character, which I think is just really weird. I think the therapist lady is a good protagonist, decently enough. I just would have wished they established it a little bit better. It's just very jarring, especially when you're about to wrap up your film. Like, with Clark kind of being that kind of, like, I think his performance is great, and I do get it. I just don't buy it. Like, I don't see how he could go from this kind of timid, kind of off-putting, kind of just to himself, kind of mad at the world type guy, to this insane lunatic who is eating these entities for breakfast. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I just don't think that doesn't make any sense, and it feels very out of place and jarring, and I just don't get it. And like I said, I just would prefer if we saw a little bit more of Clark in the Backrooms, because that's what I wanted to see. Like, him kind of exploring the more scary entities and also interact with the entities. Also kind of how we got them to, you know, I don't know if they were trying to kill him to begin with, but like how we got them to that point where they're just standing there letting him do whatever they want to them. Like, I think there's good parts in there. I just think the transition between those two parts is... I feel like a lot of these, like, adaptations to certain, like, internet culture has very, like, cutthroat fan bases. It's probably, like, it's not exactly the same, but I think kind of similar to this is with the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Wretched, rotten little beast! I made you!
Where it's adaptating something, but it's kind of taking its own liberties with it. And there's some people who really like that adaptation, and some people who really didn't. And I feel like sometimes they're like, oh, you can't criticize this because it's doing its own thing. It's like, you can't do it. And like, I don't think this film is immune to I do think it has some problems. I don't think it's a perfect film. And like I said, I have had a lot of friends who went to go see it, and I had a lot of friends who really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed it decently. I just think it's just with me, when it's your third act, that's what kind of ties the whole film together, in my opinion. So I can't fully enjoy the film if the whole ending sequence is a little bit jarring to me. Not to say the whole film was bad, but I think objectively the the third act is the most important. One thing I don't really like is when people start comparing this movie to Obsession. I guess I get it, like they're both horror movies, they both came around the same time in May, and they're both by young directors. But I think these movies are very different in what they're trying to do. Like, they're not comparable. They're completely different horror movies. Like, you can't really compare the two. Like, just because I liked Obsession more doesn't mean this one's worse in comparison. They're not comparable, really. Other than being horror movies in the year 2026, they have nothing in common. Other than maybe the main character kind of being the antagonist is kind of something similar. But,
So that was a f***ing lie.
but like, I think you should judge these films standalone. And I feel like that's kind of an issue I had going into it, because I was right out of Obsession, so I started comparing to Obsession. And I think you shouldn't really do that when you're watching films that are very different, and they're different in what they're trying to tackle. This one's more the environment and kind of Backrooms as an idea, and it's very different with Obsession. Like, Obsession's not really that comparable to it. I hate that freaking comparison too. Like, why are you comparing it? Like, I think you should judge this film on its own merits, and I think I've kind of changed that mentality. It's like, well, just Obsession's completely different. Don't try to compare it to Obsession, because like I said, Obsession is one of my favorite movies now, like, all time. So I can't compare it, obviously, because I'm obviously biased. So I feel like this kind of a lot of the things when movies come out around the same time, it's very easy to compare them. Like I said, I think this movie is a decent watch. I do recommend it if you really like the Backrooms idea, you like analog horror. I think it's a solid film. I just think I have certain problems with it. Just mostly because, like, I think, like, you can't just take into account the kind of jarring ending and saying this movie's immune to criticism because it's supposed to be confusing. And I hear that sentiment. It's like, oh, well, if you didn't understand it, then you just weren't paying attention. Like, that's not true. Just because it's a jarring transition. It's not because people didn't understand it. It's just, if your target audience it comes out of left field. It throws the target audience off when they're watching it. And I do think that's an issue, especially when you're wrapping up the film. Like, you gotta kind of, not like hold their hand, but like, you shouldn't have to, like, they have to, like, a lot of these things with adaptations too, and especially a very thing I kind of compare it with Five Nights at Freddy's, is like, people either say, oh, you're a mega fan who is upset because it's not exactly like this version, or you're not a big enough fan to appreciate this film. And I feel like they're very, like I said, very two different, but I hear it for both sides. Either you're not a big enough fan to like it, or you're too much of a fan of the original work to like the film. And I feel like that's very comparable to Backrooms. Like, oh, well, it's not going to be like the Roblox game, which I do see people comparing to the Roblox game. I do think that's stupid because you're comparing it to something that's going to be the Kane Parsons. But even people saying, oh, it's not, just because it's not exactly the same as the OG Kane Parsons YouTube videos doesn't mean it's going to be exact, like, means it's about a film. You just didn't understand the film. And, like, also, I feel like your target audience shouldn't have to watch a bunch of, like, pre-hours YouTube videos to understand the film. Because, like, I've seen that sentiment too. Is like, well, you didn't watch it, so you shouldn't judge it because you're not a real fan of the Backrooms, so you can't really criticize the film. Like, if it's a film, it should explain it, regardless of who the target audience is. That's the film's job. It has to explain the world to you, regardless of the source material or not. You're going into this film, it has to explain it to you. You can't just be left up in the open. It explains it well enough, but I just think how it transitions into those explanations could have work. Like I said, I don't dislike this film. I think it's a solid film. I just do think it has some issues, and I've kind of seen how this film has kind of been quoted as, like, immune to criticism, because if you didn't like it, you just didn't understand it. And I don't agree with that sentiment. I feel like if it doesn't make sense, that's an issue. Regardless of if it was on purpose or not, if your main target audience doesn't understand what's going on, but some of them do, then it wasn't strong enough of a message. If that's the point, but I feel like then people do also understand it too, so it's a little bit confusing. Tell me if you guys agree with this sentiment. Tell me if you really enjoy the Backrooms. Like I said, I do not dislike this film. I'm just pointing out some of the problems I had with it, because I think this is just a very interesting topic, and I've been seeing a lot of discourse. And it's been a minute since the film came out, so I'm kind of avoiding recency bias. I've kind of sat with this for a while. Like and subscribe for more commentary videos. I do want to talk about more stuff. I just gotta... And by the next video, I should have a new setup. I am moving to a different room in my parents' house, so it should be a completely different setup by the next time. So, boom.